don't know if anyone thinks about this as much as I do, but as African kids living in the States, when we have kids and stuff, how are we going to keep our culture alive to like the extent that our parents did when they came to the States? Because it's like, you know, a lot of us can just like understand our language but not speak it. So it's like, how do we now transfer that to our kids? Or when it comes to cooking, I know my mom, like, she has people in Nigeria that send her ingredients from Nigeria for her to like cook with. When I get older and I have my own kids, who's going to be shipping me stuff from Nigeria? Who over there is going to be sending me the stuff that I need to cook? Or it's like traditions, for example, kolana, the tradition of, you know, serving kolana at the hall parties. The person who does kolana, they say it in Igbo because kolana doesn't understand English language. So who's going to be our guy that does the kolana tradition in Igbo? I just feel like our culture is getting like so watered down because it's like not all of us were taught everything about, you know, African culture, what to do. And it's just like kind of sad because like, dang, what's going to happen with our kids? How much of the culture is going to get passed down to our kids? And then from our kids, how much is going to be passed down to their kids? Does the culture kind of end with our kids or like their kids? Because like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just kind of sad. Like, how do we fix that? What do we do?
Child of Nigerian immigrants who is married and is in my pop these kids out era, let me give you some of my tips. Number one, food. How many of us really know how to cook our local delicacy type meals? When I actually got into my marital home, I had no clue how to cook anything Nigerian, so I actually had to learn. It was me and CCME on YouTube and the ingredients I got from Southwest Farmers Market trying to figure it out. Take a weekend, try to figure it out. If you fail, eventually you're going to get it right. Number two, language. I know how to understand, but I really suck at like speaking. I don't have the confidence, and I'm not in a place right now to really like venture too deep into that. But I'll brag on my husband for a minute. My husband takes weekly Igbo classes. Y'all, the resources are out there. He literally speaks with somebody who is based in Nigeria to learn Igbo and to improve and practice his Igbo. And he only pays like $15 per a week for the sessions. The resources are out there. And then even for my baby, do y'all know they have Baby Shark and Igbo on YouTube? Like, there's so many resources now for these kids to start learning and getting used to things. Like, as my baby is learning 1, 2, 3, I want him to be learning Ofu Iboaito at the same time. The resources are there. Number 3, consider investing back home and getting a home back there too. I think it would be so beautiful to be able to have a home that my kids would be able to go to during the summers, spend time with cousins, aunts, uncles, whatever the case may be, and really have that time to connect with the culture. So maybe consider that being a goal. My last tip is, if you're in the marriage process or whatever the case may be, I strongly advise having your traditional wedding back home. There was just I can't even begin to express how beautiful it was for me to get married and become one with my husband in the land of my ancestors. And not only that, let's be for real, I think it's almost even cheaper than trying to get married abroad. Use that as an opportunity to reconnect with your culture, to reconnect with family back home, and really stay in tune with things. And it's also a beautiful memory for me to be able to share and pass down to our kids and let them see the precedent we set for them in regards to navigating the marriage process.
People always ask me, Chidera, why do you record everything? Why do you record so much? The reason why I record my life so much is because our culture in our house is so African oriented that I don't want my kids to not know what it was like for me growing up. I grew up in an African household, strictly African household. My parents only speak Igbo language to us. They don't speak English to me and my sister at home. We only eat African food in our house. My mom does not buy takeout. She cooks everything. My mom taught us how to dance cultural dance at a very young age. Me and my family, we dance all the time. We are a dancing family. Since day one, straight out the womb, we was watching African movies. We go to African parties all the time. go to Igbo mass. We mainly listen to African music. We grew up on Agatha Moses, Paulu Wokocha. I want to be able to show my kids, this is how me and your grandparents were when I was growing up, so that they're never wondering, oh, where did I come from? I have videos to show my future kids. This is what life was like as an African kid living in America. I just think it's so important for us to document what's going on in our lives with our parents before it's too late. Have conversations with your parents. Like, if I didn't ask my dad, I would have never known that he was there when his cousin was killed by a bomb during the Biafran War. My dad was able to bring food to his family during the Biafran War. Or I wouldn't have known about all of my mom's Olympic ventures when she was growing up. It's so important to speak to your parents, have these conversations, have your parents tell you stories about how it was when they were growing up, and document it just so that you have that with you, like, for life. No one can take that away from you. I had so much fun growing up. That's why I love posting my family on TikTok and what we do, because I want people to have a look at how beautiful African culture can be. The food, the music, the language, the dancing, like, I just want to have that stuff to show my kid. This is what your grandparents were raised like. This is how I grew up. You know what I mean? So I think in order to preserve our culture, it's also important in the now. Record what's going on in your life. Record what your parents are doing. Write down those recipes. Watch your mom cook. I have the chin chin recipe that my mom uses to make chin chin. I have the meat pie recipe that my mom uses to make meat pie. You know what I mean? Do what you can now before it's too late.
Okay, so I'm just going to give my opinion about this whole topic of other African countries wearing Nigerian cultural attire for their weddings or their parties. I just have a couple questions. I think the number one question that I have is the fact that why do you feel that your cultural attire is not good enough for your weddings or for your parties? I think that's the foundational problem. It's one thing to appreciate Nigeria's culture. You like their movies, you like their food, you like their attires. But for one of the most important days in your life, and it's called a traditional marriage. A traditional marriage ceremony, that means you're supposed to display your tradition. You're supposed to display your cultural attire, everything. And so for you to completely erase that from your wedding and then take on another country's attire, I just feel like that's somehow, I just feel like that's wrong. And I feel that deep down, you feel that the Nigerian attire is better than yours, which is wrong, because I feel like the Nigerian cultural attire has evolved over the years, and the reason why it's evolved because we were so proud about it, and we kept looking at different ways to make it even more flamboyant, even more fab, and all of that. And I feel like other African countries also need to embrace that, right? Another person's traditional attire is not your costume. It's not a costume. It's not a costume marriage. It's a traditional marriage. And so what we wear has a significance, has a cultural history, has a cultural foundation. For example, I'm Igbo. I'm proudly Igbo. And then what the men wear is Ishagu, and the women can wear it too. And we also wear George and all of that. I saw like a whole another African country, and they were wearing Ishagu, and that's just so wrong. And you may say it doesn't matter. It does matter, because what is happening is that you slowly and surely you are eradicating your own culture. And so the next generation of people coming up in your country slowly will not even know what your attire is, because you're refusing to embrace it. You have to embrace it. I love to travel. I appreciate different cultures. And so when I come across a wedding, I want to see your cultural attire. I want to be in awe of it. And so when I see all the African countries and I'm like, this looks like it's a Yoruba wedding, but clearly these people are not Yoruba. It's just somehow. And for those in the comments that may be like, oh, it doesn't matter, it does matter. Because your tradition, your culture is beautiful. Embrace your culture. Embrace the authenticity of your culture. Wear your attire. All these things are important in preserving our African as a whole, our culture, our cultural heritage. So that's just my 2 cents. What do you guys think?